Chloe was hunched over at the corner table, one palm pressed to her belly, her face so pale it looked ready to dissolve. I set my coffee down and hurried to her side. She'd been my best friend since college and was never sick. Why the sudden collapse? Where does it hurt? I'll drive you to Mount Sinai Hospital. I reached to steady her. I used to think Chloe only wanted to steal my customers, until I learned she was carrying my husband's child. Fine, if they want a performance, let's see who deserves the Oscar. Before we go on, smash that subscribe button and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. No need. Probably just a bad latte. Chloe waved me off. Something tastes off in your house blend. I froze. I'd pulled that shot myself with imported beans from Colombia. How could it be spoiled? Before I could answer, the door burst open. A bespectacled woman stormed in, two younger men on her heels. That's the place. She jabbed a finger at me. My daughter drank coffee here yesterday. Now she's hospitalized with food poisoning. My head buzzed. Food poisoning. Ma'am, there must be a mistake. We use only same-day fresh ingredients. Mistake? She shoved her phone at me. Read the hospital report. Acute gastroenteritis. The doctor said it's foodborne. On the screen, patient Lexi. Diagnosis: acute gastroenteritis. Lexi had come in yesterday for an Americano and a slice of tiramisu. I remembered clearly. But what? The woman's voice rose. Filthy joint like this should be shuttered. Poisoned my child and now you deny it? Customers whispered. Phones held high. I felt every stare drilling into my back. Chloe stood. Stop. My coffee is spotless. I'm not imagining this. I really feel awful. She gagged and vomited beside the trash can. The woman's rage flared. You see, another victim. This cafe is a health menace. I stood frozen while patrons bolted for the door, terrified they'd be next. Just then Mason walked in. He scanned the mess and frowned. What's going on? I rushed through the story. His face hardened. Serena, stay calm. He turned to the woman. Ma'am, let's settle this. If our place is at fault, we'll own it. Own it. We'll cover anything else. The cash softened her. At least you've got a conscience. But I'm still reporting you to the FDA district office. She left with the money. Silence fell. Just Mason, Chloe, and me. Chloe slumped in her chair. Mason, maybe I should be admitted, too. Mason stepped closer, worry painted on his face. How bad is it? I noticed the intimacy. He'd always called her Chloe Marie, or Little Brooks, never just Chloe. Nausea. Cramps. She dry heaved again. He steadied her shoulder. I'll drive you. I'll come, I said. Stay and clean up. He replied without looking back. I've got Chloe. Watching them leave, I felt hollow. Chloe was my closest friend. Mason, my husband, of course they'd worry. So why did it feel off? While I mopped, I replayed the day. Lexi's order had tasted fine, and Chloe's stomach had always been cast iron. Strangest of all, stingy Mason, calm and quick to hand over cash. I called Chloe. Her phone was off. I'd check tomorrow. Next morning I arrived to find my door plastered. Toxic cafe. Poisoner. I tore the paper down and stepped inside. On the counter lay the New York Post open to the headline, Multiple Victims in Brooklyn Food Poisoning Scare. The piece stitched Lexi's ordeal to Chloe's on-camera retching, ending with my address and a photo. My hands shook. Who would ever sip my coffee again? Customers stayed away. Regulars crossed the street at the sight of me. At noon Mason returned. Face grim. Serena. It's worse. How? Chloe was admitted last night. Same diagnosis. She's pregnant. The infection could endanger the baby. Pregnant. Since when? About 2 months. He avoided my eyes. Doctors want her under observation. Who's the father? I blurted. He glanced sideways. Why ask? She hasn't dated anyone steady. Maybe that Hunter guy beats me. His voice carried a quaver. He was lying. I could taste it. That afternoon FDA inspectors sealed the cafe for tests. I handed over samples, praying. At home I couldn't sleep. Who fathered Chloe's baby? Why was her phone dead? I'd visit her tomorrow. I steamed a basket of her favorite soup dumplings and headed to Mount Sinai. Chloe's in the VIP ward, the nurse said. Family only. I'm her best friend. Please ask. She returned. Patient says no visitors. Deflated. I turned and saw Mason step from the elevator, bouquet in hand. He strode straight to Chloe's door. I ducked behind a pillar. He entered as if he owned the suite. 30 minutes later he emerged, lips curled in unmistakable satisfaction. Why could Mason waltz in when I was barred? Back at the desk I lied. I'm Chloe's cousin. Just flew in from Los Angeles. This time the nurse handed over the room number. Inside, Chloe reclined, scrolling her phone, cheeks rosy, no trace of illness. Serena? The phone nearly slipped. Came to check on you. How are you? Oh, okay. They're keeping me a few days. On the nightstand, Mason's flowers and a box of gourmet chocolates from a Fifth Avenue boutique. Gorgeous bouquet. Who sent it? I asked. Just a friend. She shrugged. A private VIP suite runs $2,000 a night on her sales salary. About the baby, I began. What baby? She evaded. The one the doctors mentioned. Accident, she said flatly. I'd scheduled a termination, but with this sickness, they won't operate. And the father? We split. End of topic. She fidgeted with her blanket, eyes flitting to her phone. I left more unsettled than ever. Back home, Mason still hadn't returned. I opened his laptop and dug into recent statements. A cascade of high-end restaurant and boutique charges, none with me. Worst, an $8,000 necklace from Tiffany's last month, a gift I'd never seen. That night Mason slipped in way past midnight, claiming overtime. How's Chloe? I probed. Better. Discharge in 2 days. And the baby? He hesitated. Doctors say rest should protect it. Really is Hunter's? I pressed. Who knows, he muttered, heading for the shower. I lay awake cataloging the contradictions. Chloe's miraculous recovery, the mystery necklace, Mason's secret splurges. Something stank. And it wasn't my coffee beans. Every thread pointed to the same conclusion, but I refused to believe it. My husband and my best friend. There was no way they could betray me. Right. The next morning, the FDA district office released the results. Every ingredient and utensil at my Brooklyn cafe tested clean, zero food safety violations. Relief washed over me. Then confusion. If my cafe was innocent, why had Lexi and Chloe suffered food poisoning scares? I decided to confront Lexi, using the number the woman with glasses had left. I tracked down her apartment in Queens. Lexi was barely 21, glowing with health. Nothing like someone fresh from the hospital. Lexi, how are you feeling? All good now. Thanks for asking. Ma'am, can you remember exactly what you ate at my place? Sure, an Americano and a slice of tiramisu. Anywhere else that day? Anything else? She thought for a second. Lunch at the campus dining hall. Coffee at your place in the afternoon. Then takeout for dinner. What kind of takeout? Extra spicy hot pot from a Flushing spot. I usually can't handle chili, but that day I went nuclear. It clicked. Extra spicy hot pot is a gut bomb for anyone unused to heat, let alone a lightweight like her. Lexi, do you really think the coffee made you sick? She looked embarrassed. Honestly, I'm not sure anymore. Probably the hot pot, but my mom kept insisting it was the coffee, so I didn't argue. So Lexi's food poisoning scare had likely been the hot pot, not my latte. What about Chloe? Then, why had she also pretended to be ill? The more I replayed it, the sicker I felt. Back home, I opened Chloe's Instagram and trawled her recent posts. A month-old update stopped me cold. Life has a new horizon. Below it, a shot of two clasped hands, no faces, just fingers. The man's left ring finger wore a band identical to Mason's wedding ring. I zoomed until the screen blurred. My pulse pounded. That ring was one of a kind, custom made for us. Only 2 copies in the whole city. If the hand in Chloe's photo really was Mason's, then I couldn't finish the thought. I screenshot the image and kept scrolling, unease icing my veins. For the past 2 months Chloe had been posting high-end restaurants, designer jewelry, cryptic flirty captions, and the dates lined up perfectly with the mysterious charges on Mason's credit card. I grabbed my phone and opened Mason's WhatsApp. His chat history with Chloe had been wiped spotless, but the call log showed daily voice calls, each lasting ages. My heart sank stone heavy. Every breadcrumb led to the same brutal truth. My husband and my best friend were together, and this food poisoning hoax was probably their joint setup to destroy me. But why? I pondered for a minute, and understood. My Brooklyn cafe had been booming, netting $20,000 a month. If the cafe collapsed, Mason, as my husband, could coax me to sell, claim the money, and vanish with Chloe. At that thought, rage nearly split my skull. I forced myself calm. If my hunch was right, I needed proof, ironclad, courtroom-grade proof. I would investigate in secret. The next day I told Mason I was driving upstate to source beans. Instead, I parked 2 blocks away and watched him leave the house. Minutes after I departed, Mason hopped in his car. I followed at a distance as he raced straight to Mount Sinai. This time I stayed outside. 2 hours later, Mason and Chloe emerged together. Chloe discharged, cheeks rosy, zero trace of illness. More damning, Mason's hand rested on her lower back. Intimate and easy. They drove to an upscale steakhouse in Manhattan. I waited across the street, freezing, for the full 2 hours. Through the window I could see them laughing, Mason stroking Chloe's cheek. I almost stormed in. Nails first. I stayed put. Photos, not tantrums. Win wars. After dinner they hit the mall. I watched him buy her diamond studs at a jeweler. Then a full luxury skincare set at the cosmetics counter. Finally, they checked into a love hotel in Queens. The neon sign gutted me. I sat in the cafe opposite, nursing cold brew for 3 hours until they reappeared, Chloe clinging to Mason's arm. Radiant. Mason wearing that smug, satisfied grin. I snapped pictures with my phone. That night Mason came home acting normal. How was the sourcing trip? Fine. I bit back bile. What did you do today? Worked. What else? Went nowhere. Nope. Spent the whole day at the office. He lied without flinching. I stared at the man I'd loved for 5 years. When had he become this stranger? By the way, is Chloe out of hospital? Discharged this afternoon. Where's she staying now? Back at her own place. Another lie? I'd seen them walk into the hotel together. You sure the baby's Hunter's? I pressed. He froze a millisecond. Should be, I guess. I'm not sure. What if it isn't? He stayed silent, gaze glued to his screen. Enough. I needed a bulletproof plan to expose them and make them pay. Next morning I hired a private investigator. I handed over everything I'd gathered and asked for a deep dive into Mason and Chloe's relationship. The PI, Wade Hunter, mid-40s, ex-NYPD, listened, then nodded. Serena, your husband's definitely cheating. For a better divorce settlement, we'll need smoking gun proof. What kind? Intimate photos, audio, Venmo transfers, plus, if Chloe's carrying his kid, paternity evidence. Can you get it? Give me 1 week. 7 days later Wade slid a thick folder across my kitchen table. Mason and Chloe had been an item for nearly 3 months. High-end rendezvous, designer gifts, and, biggest flag, Mason had rented her a luxury condo in downtown Manhattan. The timeline showed Chloe got pregnant right when their hookup started. The baby was almost certainly Mason's. One more thing, Wade said. Remember Lexi, the customer. Her mom took $5,000 from your husband to stage that food poisoning act and blame your latte. I gasped. You have proof? He produced a digital recorder. Conversation between Lexi and her mom. On the recording, the mother bragged that Mason had paid her to ruin my cafe's reputation. The final veil lifted. This was no accident. It was a cold, calculated conspiracy. Phase 1. Bribe Lexi's mom to fake an illness. Phase 2. Chloe feigns sickness too. Tanking my cafe. Phase 3. Strip me of income. Push me to sell. Divorce me. Split the profits. Then ride into the sunset with Chloe and their unborn child. A perfect plan, except they'd underestimated me. With all the evidence bagged, I didn't confront them. I began plotting my counter-strike. If they loved performing, I'd give them the stage of their lives. Step 1. Reopen my cafe. Though the FDA had cleared me, scared customers stayed away. I would host a public exoneration. I booked a function room, invited local press, and scheduled a press conference to present the clean inspection report plus expert testimonials. But I saved the kill shot for last. I asked Wade to reach out to Lexi. Tell her if she told the truth, I'd pay $10,000 and waive all legal claims. Lexi, decent kid already racked with guilt, agreed instantly. On press day, I invited Mason and Chloe to tag along. Serena, why the circus? Mason fidgeted, clearing my name. My cafe is innocent. I won't let rumors murder it. But if this backfires how? I pinned him with a stare. Unless you don't want me vindicated? Chloe chimed in. Maybe let it go. Serena, starting fresh could be easier. Their nervousness cemented my resolve. Cameras rolled. First, I flashed the FDA certificate across the big screen, every sample pristine. Then I introduced Lexi. She stepped to the podium, voice shaking. I need to apologize. I claimed Serena's coffee poisoned me. That was false. Reporters gasped. I got sick from crazy spicy hot pot, not her latte. My mom took money to blame the cafe. I'm sorry for the harm I caused Serena. All heads swiveled toward Mason and Chloe in the front row. Their faces bleached white. Next, I'd like Chloe to come up and share her experience, I said sweetly. Microphone extended. Chloe's face went paper white. She wanted to refuse, but with so many cameras pointed at her, she didn't dare. I really did feel sick that day. Maybe it was just something wrong with me personally, she stammered. Chloe, could you tell us exactly why you felt sick? I pressed. I might be pregnant, morning sickness. Oh, pregnant? Congrats. Who's the father? I widened my eyes theatrically. Chloe blanched even more. That's my private business. Of course. Totally private. I smiled. Still, as your best friend, don't I deserve to know? Chloe said nothing. I turned to the reporters. Friends from the press. This whole food poisoning scare was a deliberate frame-up of my cafe. I now have solid proof, including Venmo transfers that paid off Lexi and her mother, plus the identity of the mastermind. I'm officially announcing that I'll pursue full legal responsibility for crimes including defamation and extortion. When I finished, I looked straight at Mason. His complexion had turned the color of old ash. After the press conference ended, journalists mobbed me. I answered every question and promised to release more evidence when the time was right. Back home, Mason sat on the couch, mute. What's wrong? You look gloomy, I asked, pretending I didn't know. Serena Serena, wasn't today a bit much? Much. I was simply clearing my name. How is that excessive? But saying you'll press charges. Of course I'll press charges. Someone set out to destroy me. Why should I let it slide? I studied him. Unless you already know who the mastermind is? Mason stayed silent. I knew he was rattled, but that wasn't enough. I wanted them to pay far more. For the next few days, I acted perfectly normal while quietly gathering additional proof. Wade brought fresh findings. Chloe hadn't been a sales rep at all. She'd been a receptionist at a tiny firm in Queens. She'd recently quit because of the pregnancy, and the rent on her downtown loft, paid by Mason. He'd also given her a secondary credit card loaded with $10,000 every month. Staring at the paperwork, I realized my 5-year marriage had been a joke. Worse, Mason had started stealthily moving assets, shifting our joint savings into his personal account and retitling my car in his name. He meant to betray me and leave me penniless. Fine. I wouldn't bother with courtesy any longer. I would teach them a lesson they'd never forget. I set my counterattack in motion. First, I retained a lawyer and went through every clause of New York matrimonial law on property division. He told me that if I could prove adultery plus hidden transfers, I could ask the court to grant Mason little or nothing. And if Chloe, as the other woman, had conspired to wreck my marriage, I could sue her for emotional damage settlement. The key is rock-solid evidence, he said. Photos help, but you need something more direct. I showed him what I already had. He nodded approvingly. Strong, but hold off a little, maybe catch them red-handed. What do you mean? Say, a taped confession of the affair, or footage of them together. Something airtight. I understood. At home I mapped out how to make Mason and Chloe drop their guard. The chance arrived sooner than expected. Mason announced he had a week-long business trip to Chicago to negotiate a project. Through Wade I learned there was no trip. Just a vacation with Chloe to Miami. Perfect. I played the supportive wife. Even packed his suitcase so he believed I suspected nothing. The morning after he left, I struck. Knowing their Miami hotel, I had Wade arrange for a bug to be planted. The manager, a woman who hated cheating spouses, quietly helped. The very first night delivered gold. Mason, are you sure your wife doesn't suspect anything? Chloe's voice. Not a clue. She's clueless, Mason answered. But at the press conference I felt like she knew. Impossible. If she'd found out, she'd have exploded already. When can we go public? As soon as I finish moving the money. Her cafe is profitable again. Give it a few months. I'll file for divorce and claim a bigger split. What about the baby? The kid takes my name. Once we're married, he'll be a real Brooks. My hands shook with rage, but I kept listening. And Serena actually thinks Lexi confessed on her own. Never figured we paid her off. Mason laughed. Smart move. Now Serena believes it's over and won't dig deeper. Exactly. We can enjoy ourselves. When we get back I'll speed up the transfers. That recording was enough to crucify them in court, yet I still wanted them to taste despair. On the third day I walked straight into their Miami hotel. I'd already phoned the manager. She handed me a key card with a look of solidarity. I eased the door open. Mason and Chloe were entwined on the bed, too busy to notice me. I lifted my phone and filmed every angle. Quite a show, I said. They sprang apart. Chloe shrieked and yanked the sheet to her chin while Mason hunted for his boxers. Serena. What are you doing here? He croaked. Why shouldn't I be? It's a hotel. My money's good. I smirked. Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip? Funny. Your meeting looks naked. Let me explain. Explain betrayal. Explain how you sabotaged my cafe and robbed our accounts? His face drained. You know? I know what you think I don't, and I recorded it. I raised a digital recorder and hit play. Their own voices spilled out. Plans. Mockery. Greed. Serena. We can talk. Chloe began. Talk. About how you played my best friend while screwing my husband? I glanced at her belly. Or shall we discuss your little bastard? Don't call my baby that, she shrieked. Why not? Offspring of a mistress? What else fits? Mason, finally dressed, muttered, look, let's end this civilly. Civil. After this? I laughed. I'm taking you to court. Both of you, and I'm taking everything. With that, I walked out, their quarrel echoing behind me. I didn't care. Now they would learn what betrayal truly cost. Back home I phoned my attorney and handed over the fresh audio and video. After listening, he slammed the table in triumph. Serena, this is bulletproof. In the divorce we'll own the battlefield. What can I demand? First, because Mason cheated and hid assets, you can push for an unequal split. he could leave with nothing. Second, we'll claw back every dollar he shifted. Third, we sue Chloe for emotional damage settlement. How much? Given your estate and their malice, expect well over $1 million. $1 million sounded perfect. When do we file? Immediately. The longer we wait, the more he can spirit away. That afternoon I filed the divorce petition and an asset freeze order that locked every account Mason had. He received the summons next morning and stormed into my cafe, shouting, "Serena, have you lost your mind? Filing without warning? I'm perfectly sane." I calmly polished a cup. "You chose betrayal, now live with the bill. We could have talked with a crook who emptied our savings and knocked up my friend." I stared. "Did you think I was still your fool?" Customers watched. Mason lowered his voice. "Let's discuss this at home." "No discussion. See you in court." He slunk away. That afternoon Chloe showed 4 or 5 months swollen, humility in her eyes. "Serena, can we talk?" she murmured. "About what? Menu specials?" I kept working. "I know I hurt you. Can't we settle this gracefully?" "Grace, you lost that option when you climbed into my husband's bed. I didn't mean for it to happen." "Do pregnancies happen by accident these days?" I set the portafilter down. "We were friends 6 years. Chloe, 6 years. And this is your thanks?" She stared at the floor. "I love him," she whispered. "You love what? His wallet, his vows to someone else?" I folded my arms. "Tell me, who engineered the food poisoning hoax? You, Mason, or both?" Chloe fell silent. "Talk." I raised my voice. It was Mason's idea. He said if we could just make trouble for your cafe, you'd change careers. And then what? Then we could be together. Hearing her admit it aloud almost made my fury explode. "Chloe, I treated you like my best friend, and you ganged up with my husband to ruin me. Have you any humanity left?" Chloe started to cry. "I didn't want to, but I really love him. I can't lose him. Did you ever think about how I felt?" Chloe said nothing. She just kept sobbing. I stared at the woman who had once been the person I trusted most, now reduced to this. "Chloe, I never want to see you again. You'd better pray the court shows you some mercy." Wiping her tears, Chloe walked away. That evening Mason came home looking awful. "Serena, my accounts have been frozen." "I know. I requested the asset freeze order." "That's going too far." "Too far?" I laughed. "When you secretly shifted our money, did you say it was too far? That cash was mine." "Yours?" I pulled out the bank statements. "Look, which of these deposits wasn't earned by both of us? You know exactly how much the cafe brings in every month." Mason had no comeback. "Mason, we were married 5 years. I thought I'd found a man I could trust for life. Turns out you're someone like this." "Serena, I admit I was wrong, but we still have feelings." "Feelings?" I stared at him. "When you were sleeping with another woman, did you think about our feelings? That's different." "How?" I stood up. "Mason, anything you say now is too late. There's no turning back." He opened his mouth, but seeing how resolute I was, he finally said nothing and went to pack. The next day he moved out. Now the house was mine alone. A little empty, but I felt lighter than I had in ages. At least I no longer had to look at a traitor's face or pretend I knew nothing. Next step. Wait for the court hearings. I trust justice will be served. The day before the divorce trial, Mason cornered me, begging for a private settlement. "Serena, let's work this out between us. No need for court." His tone was much softer. "Why should we settle in private? A public trial will hurt us both. Especially you. It'll damage your reputation." I sneered. "Now you're worried about my reputation. Where was that concern before?" "I know I was wrong. I'll take responsibility. I can compensate you." "What kind of compensation?" "I'll sign everything over to you, the house, the cars, even my company shares." Tempting, but I knew he had some hidden motive. Why the sudden generosity? Mason looked uncomfortable. Because Chloe's family found out. They're furious, threatening to make a scene at my office. If it blows up, I could lose my job. So that was it. He feared for his career. "So you want to quiet things down?" "Right. Let's split decently. Don't make it uglier than it has to be." I pretended to ponder. "Your offer sounds good, but why should I believe you? I can transfer all the assets right now. Then we'll file at City Hall." "What about Chloe?" She'll disappear. I swear I'll never see her again." I almost laughed out loud. To protect his job, Mason was ready to dump pregnant Chloe. The man was shameless. "Let me think about it." I didn't give him an immediate answer. That night I relayed the offer to my lawyer. He advised rejection. "Serena, generous as it is, I believe we'll win more more in court. And if we settle privately, Chloe escapes legal liability. You're right. I want them both to pay. The next morning the divorce trial opened. In court Mason had hired a famous attorney to defend him, yet against the recordings, videos, and assorted evidence I supplied, his defense looked pale. When the judge played the audio, Mason's own voice admitting the affair and the frame-up echoed through the courtroom, and his face went chalk white. Defendant Mason, do you have anything to say about this recording? The judge asked. This recording might be doctored, his lawyer tried. We've verified its authenticity forensically, my counsel shot back, and we have additional proof of the defendant's adultery. Next my attorney screened the hotel video. Blurred as it was, Mason and Chloe were still recognizable. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Does the defense have anything further? The judge asked. Mason's lawyer shook his head. No, Your Honor. We moved to property division. My counsel laid out every transfer Mason had made, bank wires, deed changes, the lot, because the defendant cheated and maliciously shifted marital assets. We ask that he receive little or none of the community property and that he return what he has already moved. After reviewing all evidence, the judge delivered the verdict. Whereas defendant Mason committed adultery and fraudulently transferred marital assets under relevant sections of the New York Family Court Act, it is ordered: 1. Plaintiff Serena is granted divorce from defendant Mason. 2. Community property shall be split 80-20. Plaintiff receiving 80%. 3. Defendant shall return $30,000 in wrongfully transferred assets. 4. Defendant shall pay plaintiff $100,000 in emotional damage settlement. I nodded, satisfied. The result exceeded my hopes. When Mason heard the ruling, he slumped in his chair. His lawyer mumbled about an appeal, but with the proof so solid, an appeal was pointless. Outside the courtroom Mason caught up. Serena, are you happy now? Not yet, I said. I'm also suing Chloe. She's pitiful already. Let it go. Pitiful? I snorted. She wrecked my marriage and framed my business. And you tell me she's pitiful? She's pregnant. Her choice. When she decided to be a mistress, she should have thought of the price. Realizing he couldn't sway me, Mason slunk off. The next day, I filed suit against Chloe for defamation and extortion. When she received the subpoena, she rang me, weeping for mercy. Serena, I know I was wrong. I'll apologize. Just drop this. Please. If apologies worked, we wouldn't need courts. I really regret it. I'm pregnant. If I go to jail, that's the consequence you face. I felt no pity. Her trial started soon after, armed with the earlier recordings and evidence. She had no defense. The court found Chloe guilty of malicious defamation, sentenced her to 6 months, suspended, and ordered her to pay me $50,000 for emotional harm. Though the sentence was suspended, the verdict ruined her life. She'd never land a decent job again, and her name was mud. With the legal battles over, I sat down to map out my future. Surprisingly, business at my cafe picked up. People flocked in, curious to meet the owner who'd battled husband and mistress. I didn't mind. Busier tills were welcome. As ordered, Mason handed over every dollar, together with cafe profits. I was better off financially than ever. The only regret, after such devastation, I'd lost all trust in men. I figured I'd never believe in love again, but life loves surprises. A month later a good-looking officer walked into my cafe. Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Liam Cole. I'd like to ask you a few things. I glanced up. Maybe 30. Tall, solid build, very masculine. About what? Chloe. She's broken the law again. Fraud this time. We need background. I was startled. She's in trouble again? She conned a businessman out of $100,000 using a fake ID. He filed a report. We're investigating. I told Liam everything I knew about her. As we talked I discovered he was not only thorough, but also witty. Ma'am, your coffee's outstanding. He sipped the latte. Mind if I become a regular? Feel free. Always welcome. From that day Liam showed up every afternoon. After shift he'd drop by, order coffee, and chat. At first I thought he was being polite, but soon I realized he genuinely liked the place. Lieutenant, why always here? There are other cafes nearby. Because the owner's the prettiest, he teased. I flushed. Stop joking. I'm serious. Seeing his earnest expression made my pulse race. Since the divorce I'd sworn no man would reach me again. Yet Liam had begun to change that. A month later he made his declaration. Serena, I know you've been through hell, but give me a chance. I'll spend my life proving my love. Looking into his sincere eyes, I wavered. Lieutenant, call me Liam. Liam, I'm lost about relationships right now. Can you give me time? Take all you need. I'll wait. His patience and kindness moved me. He never rushed, just stayed quietly by my side. Another month passed before I finally said yes. Liam, I'm willing to try. He lifted me in a whirl of joy. Fantastic. I won't let you down. Only after being with Liam did I understand what real love feels like. He was considerate, gentle, and responsible, nothing like Mason, who only ever thought about himself. Most importantly, he gave me a sense of security I'd never had before. Half a year later, we got engaged. The ceremony was simple but warm. My parents adored Liam. They said he was the kind of man a woman could trust with her life. Just as we started planning the wedding, Mason showed up. He looked haggard, painfully thin. Serena, can we talk? What's left to talk about? I asked, hand clasped in Liam's. I need you to know, I regret everything. Regret? I gave a cold laugh. Too late for that, Serena. I know I messed up, but I loved you, really loved you. Loved me? I stared at him. You loved me while sleeping with someone else? I was confused for a moment. That's enough. Liam stepped forward. Mason, Serena is my fiancée now. Don't come bothering her again. Mason looked him up and down. Who are you? I'm Serena's boyfriend and her future husband. Mason's face twisted. Serena, you replaced me that fast? None of your business, I said flatly. My life isn't yours to judge. We had 5 years together, years you tossed away yourself. I cut him off. Mason, we're strangers now. Please don't show up again. When Mason opened his mouth to argue, Liam moved between us. I suggest you leave, or I'll take measures. Watching Liam shield me, my heart flooded with gratitude. Seeing he was beat, Mason slunk away. You okay? Liam asked, concerned. I'm fine, thank you. We're engaged. Protecting you is what I'm here for. Looking into Liam's gentle eyes, I knew I'd chosen the right man, someone I could trust with my whole life. The wedding took place as planned, nothing lavish, just warm and intimate. I wore a white wedding gown. Liam wore a crisp suit. In front of family and friends we slid rings onto each other's fingers, for richer or poorer, in sickness and health. I promise to love and cherish you forever. Liam's vow brought tears streaming down my cheeks. So do I whispered, voice trembling. After the reception we flew to the Maldives. On those gorgeous islands, I finally understood what happiness could be. Liam spoiled me with attention, surprising me with something new every day. Serena, do you know, meeting you is the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me. Same here. I nestled against his chest. Thank you for giving me the courage to believe in love again. Silly. That's what I'm here for. When the honeymoon ended, we began our new routine. Liam moved into my place and we ran the cafe together. He'd swing by after his shift to help out. Customers loved the handsome cop co-owner. Business thrived. And so did our happiness. A year later I was pregnant. When I told him, Liam lit up like a kid on Christmas. Amazing. I'm going to be a dad. Are you happy? Over the moon. He's the fruit of our love. During the pregnancy Liam was even more attentive, cooking balanced meals, walking with me, reading bedtime stories to my belly. Little one, mommy and daddy love you so much. Grow up healthy, okay? Watching him talk to my stomach melted my heart. 10 months later our son arrived. Holding that tiny life, I felt a fulfillment I'd never known. He looks like you, Liam said, eyes shining with fatherly pride. You think so? Yeah. Especially those eyes, exactly like yours. We named him Leo Cole, hoping he'd grow up with boundless possibilities. With our son, life felt complete. Liam was a devoted dad, no matter how busy work got. The moment he stepped through the door he was on the floor playing. Seeing my 2 boys together, I knew this was the life I wanted. Just as we were lost in that happiness, Chloe reappeared. I was behind the counter one afternoon when a familiar figure walked in. It was Chloe, disheveled, hair unkempt, clothes worn. What shocked me most was the little boy, maybe 2, in her arms. Serena. Her voice was frail. What do you want? I asked, guarded. I'm begging for your help. Help you? I gave a harsh laugh. Have you no shame? I know I wronged you, but I'm desperate. Chloe broke into sobs. Mason dumped us. We're homeless. I glanced at the boy. He did resemble Mason. That's not my problem. Serena, please, for the sake of our old friendship, I just need a job to feed my child. Seeing her so broken stirred something complicated inside me. I hated her for stabbing me in the back. Yet watching a woman clutch a helpless kid chipped at my anger. Why would I help you? I know I have no right to ask, but the child is innocent. Right then Liam walked in, spotting Chloe. He frowned. Who's she? That's Chloe, the one I told you about. Understanding flashed across his face. The friend who betrayed you. Chloe's cheeks burned crimson. Serena, should I throw her out? Liam asked. I looked from Chloe to the boy in her arms, my conscience warring with itself. In the end my heart softened. Chloe, I'll give you a job, but there are conditions. Anything, she said eagerly. First, you'll only do basic labor, wash dishes, mop floors. Second, the pay is bare bones, survival level. Third, you stay in the back. Customers never see you. I agree to everything. She nodded furiously. Liam looked puzzled. Why help her? I'm not helping her. I pity the child. I glanced at the toddler. He's innocent. So Chloe started working at my cafe. She toiled without complaint, leaving the kitchen spotless, never slacking. Sometimes I caught her exhausted, wiping away silent tears, and a pang shot through me. But the friendship we once had could never be rebuilt. Trust, once shattered, leaves permanent cracks. Time flew. My son turned 3. My cafe was booming, and Liam's and my bond grew deeper every day. Chloe had been with us 2 years. We rarely spoke, yet she worked hard and clearly valued the lifeline. Her son had grown and sometimes tagged along. The boy was adorable, yet seeing him always resurrected painful memories. One day Chloe suddenly said she was leaving. Serena, thank you for these 2 years. I've found another job. Where? Janitor at a small firm in Queens. Harder work, but better pay. I nodded. Congratulations, Serena. I know we can never go back, but I want you to know, I regret it every single day. Let the past stay buried. I understand. Chloe hesitated. And thank you for the chance. Without you, my boy and I might have starved. Seeing the sincerity on her face sent a swirl of emotions through me. Chloe, I hope from now on you choose to be decent and stop hurting people. I will. I swear. Chloe left in tears. I think she truly repented. Yet some mistakes can't be undone. Like a broken mirror, glue it and the cracks remain. I never saw her again after that. I heard she later married a quiet, honest man and lives an average but stable life in upstate New York. As for Mason, his life imploded after the divorce. Jobless and familyless, he sank into despair. Word is he numbed himself with booze and his health collapsed. Somebody spotted him begging on the streets of Manhattan, little better than a vagrant. I felt no pity. He forged his own ruin. Today my life is bliss. The cafe keeps expanding. Liam and I welcomed a second child. A darling girl. Watching our kids grow. Watching Liam's daily devotion. I feel like the happiest woman alive. Serena, you know what? Before I met you my world was black and white. You colored it in, Liam whispers, holding me at night. Same here. Thank you for giving me a fresh start. Silly. That's my job. I love you. Always will. Gazing at the night sky, I replay everything I've been through, from the agony of betrayal to rediscovered joy. I've grown. I learned how to protect myself and how to recognize those truly worthy of trust. Most important, I learned to treasure the happiness right in front of me. Life is like that, bitter and sweet. The point isn't avoiding pain, it's finding the courage to begin again after being hurt. I'm so grateful I didn't slam my heart shut after one betrayal. If I had, I'd never have met Liam, never have known this life. So no matter how dire things seem, don't give up hope. You never know what beautiful surprise waits around the next corner. Thanks for listening. If you liked the story, please hit like and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more, and see you next time.